Wow. What's going on, everybody? Hit the share button. We'll begin momentarily here, but a lot to get to, obviously, with the season opener yesterday. How's everybody doing today? We good? Let's see. Let's see if I can't. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit better. There we go. All right, I see it. Sean Moore says thumbs up. John Mizak says Ari. David Alejandre says Ari. What's going on, everybody? All right, I'm Ari Temkin, and I'm live right now, as you can see, at the Irishman Pub in Richardson. We're out at Preston and Frankfurt. Come say hi. You can enjoy all-day happy hour today. Plus, we've got a coupon for this event. We're going to be out here all week, half-off appetizers. So come hang out at the Irishman if you're in the area. Really cool pub. And I'm going to have a beer here in a moment. So we'll get started momentarily. Cody Arnold's in the house. Coaching was terrible and predictable. Sean Moore says, I'm all right. I expected the offense to be offensive. Well, I think, and if you caught the post-game show last night at 105 through the Fan, yeah, I guess a lot of how you will react to what happened last night is based upon what your expectations were of this offense, going into the game. And so if you were, I would say, more realistic in thinking that their offense might not be great, then you probably weren't that disappointed. But obviously, for those of us that felt like this offense maybe was holding some stuff back during the preseason, we had talks about creativity. We obviously didn't see much of that at all in this football game. John Dyer asks if Dak is dealing with an injury. I don't think so. Sean Moore says Jesse Holly was on fire. Yeah, last night was a lot of fun hosting that post-game show with Jesse. He was in fuego last night. All right, what else we got? Let's see here. Was that the most piss-poor game the offense called? Tim Hasty says, I got exactly what I expected, Ari. That's right. Tim Hasty. It's funny, I was messaging with Tim Hasty before the show today, and, Tim's been a guy that's been anti-Dak, basically, as he's been engaging with me on this show, and I was always like, well, I think Dak's pretty good. Wait and see. We've seen more offensive firepower from him when they've had a quality when they've had the right offensive line and guys are healthy. And man, last night, if you are part of the camp that doesn't think that Dak can get it done, the last night was validation from what you've been saying because he did not look very good at all. Dak Prescott. He basically had one good drive where they were up-tempo and, they really were pushing the ball down the field. But other than that, the offensive play calling was bad. The interior of their offensive line had a lot of issues, especially with Connor Williams, their rookie left guard. And, there was no separation from the receivers. And Dak, had some opportunities to get guys open down the field and miss them. So it was basically just this smorgasbord of suckiness from their offense. All right, on the Dallas Cowboys America's team page, which shout out to everybody watching on the Dallas Cowboys America's team page, Carlo Forgione says, fire Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan. Brian Walker says, too many penalties. Yeah, they had think they had 85 penalty yards in the game last night. And there was, in the first half, after the first half, the Cowboys had 60 total yards of offense and 65 penalty yards. Yikes. Neil Favre says, anybody replace Linehan. He's terrible with the talent he has at his disposal. Yeah. Here's the thing. I've been talking all throughout training camp, the preseason, as I've seen this team, as we've heard from the coaching staff, just kind of wait. We're going to see more creativity. That Dez was the issue, and that he commanded the ball too often, and he was glued to the X spot. They wanted to bring in a bunch of different receivers, could play a bunch of different roles and do a bunch of different things. And just wait. That's what we kept hearing. Just wait. And I think that's why, even though it's one game that's so uninspiring, because it sort of validates what a lot of people had been saying about this team all along. And for, I tweeted this after the game, the Cowboys offensive coaching staff had been talking all training camp, all preseason, like acting like they knew something we didn't know. Just wait, you'll see it. And at least yesterday, not so much. It was everything we've seen from this offense, really since Jason Garrett's been their head coach. Let's see here. Horrible showing. Trevor Curtis says Williams is already a bust. 2 tight end sets with only 3 on roster. Play calling at high school level. Yeah, that was one of the most bizarre schematic moves the Cowboys made last night. It was going 5 wide, but 2 of those were tight ends. So, they don't really have playmaking tight ends in any capacity whatsoever. It's Blake Jarwin and Jeff Swaim were guys that even in college, at Texas and at Oklahoma State, were not pass-catching tight ends. So to basically feature them in 5 wide, and not have Tavon Austin on the field or Deontay Thompson on the field, it's just bizarre. Neil Favre says, love the pub name, by the way, from an Irishman. Yeah, the Irishman Pub. By the way, this place is great for football season, but also for football, non-American football. They have really awesome watch parties here for the Tottenham Hotspurs. This place gets rowdy for Tottenham games. So, again, if you're in the area, come hang out with me right now. Showtime is going to be out here every day from 12 to 1 every day this week. And then, so make plans to be out here with me at some point this week. Come say hello. Come be on the show. Come get half-off appetizers. Let's talk Cowboys football. All right, so Patrick Prescott, Dak's brother, says, what I can't stand, how everyone makes excuses over and over for Dak's poor play. That's fair. Look, I think Dak did not play well yesterday. There's just no way around that. But I also think it's completely inadequate to completely just put all the blame for the offensive, crappiness on Dak Prescott and Dak Prescott alone. There was a lot of blame to go around. The play calling was non-inventive. It was what we've seen from this team. There was nothing new to it, so I think that's problematic. They for most of the first half, they were not pushing the ball down the field at all. They were just going east-west entirely with their offense. Every pass play they made was not north-south. It was east-west. They were not making any push to push the ball down the field. And you have to challenge the Carolina Panthers secondary, because that was the question mark for the Carolina Panthers. They had a good front seven. They were able to get good pressure in the interior of that offensive line. So, that's where they're built. They're built to win, in the middle and up front. And Carolina is. And, I think the secondary of the Carolina Panthers was an area they could exploit, and they didn't. Let's see here. What else we got going on? Let me check out the YouTube page. By the way, everybody, thank you for joining us. I'm Ari Temkin from 105.3 The Fan. We're broadcasting live on FANTOM, the new world order of sports media. And we're broadcasting live at the Irishman Pub in Richardson, just here at Preston and Frankfurt Road. Great food, nice libations. In a moment here, going to go get a beer myself. So what are your thoughts? Hit us up in the comments. Make sure to hit the share button. Checking in on YouTube. I don't have my iPad here with me, so I'm kind of trying to make it work navigating through all the different pages at once right now, so I'll get to your comments here in a second, but make sure if you're trying to get your comments heard as quickly as possible, make sure to comment on the Phantom Facebook page at facebook.com/WatchPhantom. All right, on the Law Nation YouTube page, Young Wilson in the house, Mike Mardo, shout out to William Perez. Mike Mardo says, I'm trying to figure out how everyone blames Dak. So let's just not play this game. So you've got the people that aren't necessarily part of the Dak camp. They're not Dakamaniacs, if you will, that are going to put all the blame on Dak. And then you have the other people that are going to say, how are people entirely blaming Dak? Let's just be reasonable about how we assign blame and say the play calling was as inventive as we've seen from Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan throughout the course of the time that Jason Garrett's been here. It's been the exact same lack of creativity, lack of innovation, just the same BS, old school, by the book play calling. Did Dak miss some throws? Yes, absolutely. But it's not entirely on Dak. It's also on the play calling. It's also on the inability of their receivers to get any separation down the field. I mean, it's just a culmination of a lot of different things. That's what played into why the offense was so bad yesterday. You know, football is cohesion. It's about 11 guys being on the same page, and we didn't see that at all. And so it's entirely false to blame all on Dak. It's entirely false to blame it all on any one thing. It's a bunch of things, and I think the most frustrating thing is we heard all training camp, all preseason, that this offense was going to be different. They were going to be creative. They blamed Dez. Remember, the blame was Dez. Dez and the offensive coaches. They had put all that blame on the offensive coaches and Dez. They said it was going to be different. They fixed the issues. It was going to be creative and inventive, and in 1 week, we saw exactly what we've seen before. Exactly. That's the problem. Mike Mardo says every quarterback misses throws. I mostly blame the O-line. Connor Williams, he played well at times, but struggled. And that's not to make excuses for Connor Williams, but that's a really tough go for Connor Williams in his first ever start. I mean, K'Wan Short's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. And he was most of the game left one-on-one with him, and he was worked. He was worked. Nelson Alcala says coaching staff. Jim Beatty says, and Garrett has tried to blackball Dez to Dez is still better than any receiver they have now. And Dez was enjoying it on Twitter yesterday. You know, he said he's done tweeting during Cowboys games, but I doubt it. He can't help himself. Thank you to the Sports Fury for shouting us out. Let's see here. Millie Lev says, good afternoon, Ari. Millie, good afternoon. Jesse Garcia says, Garrett Linehan ain't throwing the ball either. Jesse Garcia also says, let's not blame Dak, but we were okay blaming Romo. Can I get I don't care what IPA it is, just an IPA. Thank you. Let's see here. I guess here's the question I have for everybody watching this. Because hosting the post-game show last night with Jesse Holley, and if you listen to it, and I know Sean Moore said this, I mean, Jesse was on fire. He was rolling, and it was great. But the question is, you know, it's easy to get very myopic in the NFL because they play one game a week. They only play 16 games. So it does sort of seem, when things don't go right for them in a game, it does sort of seem like, you know, I'll steal a quote from Rick Carlisle, the coach of the Mavericks, who was talking about the NBA playoffs, and he said, you know, in the NBA during the playoffs, when you win, you'll feel like you'll never lose, and when you lose, you feel like you'll never win. The NFL is just like that. In the NFL, when you win, you feel like you'll never lose because the things that go right, you think it'll always translate, it'll always be successful. And when you lose in the NFL, you feel like you'll never win. So here's the question I want to pose to everybody watching this. And if you would, please go hit the share button. Ray Pierce says Irish whiskey and Coke. I'm actually going to go with an IPA here. G. Garcia says, what up, Ari? What up, G? Are you coming? I thought you were coming today, buddy. Thank you. What is this?
This is High Life by Cigar City. It's a brewery out of Florida. It's the highest ranked IPA that we have.
Awesome. Cheers, man. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers, everybody. It's afternoon. It's all right, right? That is good. That's a flavorful IPA, if I don't mind. I don't mind if I don't say so myself. Sean Moore says, is Jesse going to have a job next week, though? I'll tell you what, criticize the Cowboys all you want. They are one of the few organizations in sports that are legitimately willing to take criticisms, even from people that work for the Cowboys. And keep in mind, when you host the pregame show and the postgame show, you're working for 105 to the Fan, and you want to be fair, right? Not just throw barbs. But Jesse also works for DallasCowboys.com, and he does the Cover 4 show every single day. So the fact that they're willing to, the fact that the Cowboys are willing to allow people that even work for them to criticize them. Brian Broaddus, a great writer. I mean, he does the same thing. So, I mean, there are very few organizations in sports that would allow that, and that's really cool. I will say that. Sean Moore says Cowboys fans started drinking at breakfast. That's a fair point. All right, back in the Dallas Cowboys America's team page. Bear with me, by the way, as I scroll through all the pages, trying to get to everybody's comments. Want to make sure everybody's input is heard because this is the day after a rough Cowboys loss. They lose 16-8 last night to the Carolina Panthers, and the loss was just reinforced some of what everybody thought of what this offense was going to be at its worst, despite the fact that the coaches told us, just wait. We fixed the issues. Now we've got a bunch of guys that are interchangeable at the wide receiver position. We're fine. Things are going to be great. We're going to be creative and inventive, and it's going to be fantastic. And we just saw more of the same from Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett. Erica Besabilvazo? Something like that. By the way, how's the lighting? Do I need to go a little bit brighter? Should I just hold this up to my face? This is not the brightest light in the world, I'll be honest. I thought I would be able to be okay, but we'll make it work. Tomorrow I'll be brighter. Tomorrow I will bring in better lighting. Erica Bazabilvazo says they need to stop forcing Dak into something that he's not. Carolina figured this out with Cam. Let's see if I can see more here. I'm always having issues trying to see more. By the way, Erica, I can't read the rest of your comment, but that's a damn good point. This is a damn good point. The best coaches in sports will cater their schemes to fit their personnel. The best organizations in sports cater their schemes to fit their personnel. That is not something that Jason Garrett does. Now, look, they do mix in some run-pass option, right, the zone read, which that fits Dak Prescott's skill set. But it seems like when it comes to the passing offense, they just sort of are what they've always been. And that's the kind of thing where it's like you sort of have to cater the type of passing style you have to the player you have. And, I also don't want to continue to make excuses for Dak because, look, They said they're going to be more productive when Dak is able to spread the ball around, get a bunch of different receivers involved, and so we at least that's what they said would help fix some of their issues. So I also think, look, they're trying to cater the offense at least to him, and they do again have that zone read, which is catering the offense to him as well. Christy Rogers says defense was slamming, could have been a lot worse. Great point. Agreed. They would have been. It looked like that game could get out of reach for them at one point because, their offense was just so inadequate. I mean, they did not get the ball past midfield until the third quarter. Third quarter, right? I think it was the third quarter. It's unbelievable. And I saw the stat during the game. It was the first time since 2002. This is the first time since the 2002 opener the Cowboys didn't get past midfield in the opener, in the season opener. Tony Quigley says whether Dak is bad or Linehan is bad, the one thing that's true is they're bad together. Cheers to that, man. I mean, it is not fun. Like, the funny thing is sometimes you practice like you play, and you play like you practice, and that's one of those things. And I know Jesse Holley's been hammering home the point about you just can't sit and rest guys the entire preseason and expect them to come out and be ready to go. There's important components to playing preseason football that clearly they were missing. And, to that point, to that end, this is how their offense looked all preseason. I don't care if it was Dak Prescott in the first string offense or it was second string. I mean, they were boring for 4 preseason games, basically unwatchable for 4 preseason games. And the whole thing was, we'll just wait and see. Let's see the kind of creativity they employ. Let's see the kind of differences that we're going to see. And one game in, nothing. Let's see here. Eric Koshaney in the house. Ray Pierce says, bring back Ari the Terminator. What is that? What's that? What's Ari the Terminator? What's Ari the Terminator? Was something wrong with my voice or something? Now you got me all self-conscious, bro. Jesse, are you the one that keeps bringing up Tony Romo on the coaching staff? I've addressed this. I don't think Tony Romo would be a good coach, Jesse. I don't, because most of the things that Tony Romo was really good at, he can't teach that. Like, you can't teach a guy to feel the pressure from the backside. That was just a feel that Romo had. You can't teach a guy to walk up to the line of scrimmage and call a play and be an offensive coordinator. I just don't think you could teach a guy to do that. That is a intuition and a smarts that's not necessarily teachable. So I just don't think that a lot of the things that made Romo great are able to translate into coaching. I forgot to share this from my page. I'm telling everybody to share this. Hit the share button, and I forgot to share. So bear with me as I share this. But here's my question. Is it fixable? To everybody watching this right now, no matter where you're watching, post your comments. But hopefully you can go to the Phantom page at facebook.com/watchphantom, because that's the easiest one for me to check. And I have it readily available. But are the offensive issues fixable? And can we attribute some of their failures on offense to that dominant front seven of the Carolina Panthers? It's not all. Again, it's not all. But, I mean, K'Wan Short is one of the best interior linemen in the NFL. He's not Aaron Donald, but he's good. He's real good. And Luke Kuechly is really good. So, I think part of the struggles was Dak. Part of the struggles was the lack of creativity with their offense. Part of the struggles, too, was Carolina has a really good defense. Eric O'Shady says, Ari, if Linehan is allowed to stay on this team, we'll lose all 16. Eric, I do not think this team's going to go for 16. Also, Eric, I do think Linehan will be with this team for the entire season. Sorry. Brandon Garcia says, fixable with a different offensive scheme. His playbook looks like the most vanilla offenses I've seen. Yeah. If we get a new play caller, yes, it's fixable from Keith Stone. G. Garcia says he's coming tomorrow. Might come tomorrow. Carrie, I'm at the Irish. Carrie wanted to know what's with the new background. No, this is an actual This is not a green screen behind me, guys. This is an actual background here today. I'm not in my house, in my studio with a green screen. This is just behind the curtain. I'm not actually sitting in front of the skyline of Dallas, which you all know. But this is an actual background. I'm at the actual Irishman Pub out here at Preston and Frankfurt and Richardson. Come by. They're doing half-off appetizers. If you saw, we have an event for this event, and on that event, you get a coupon for half-off appetizers. They've got great food. I mean, I've seen multiple people not only eat here, but do takeout. I mean, you traditionally think of bars as not necessarily having great, we call bar food. The food here is fantastic, though. So come on out to the Irishman Pub, Frankfurt and Preston. I'm going to be out here all week talking Cowboys with you. So I guess today and tomorrow we'll really talk about the Panthers, what went wrong, is it fixable, and then we'll kind of move on to the Giants. But I do think, Giants have pretty good defense, but not as good as Carolina's. And, what's funny is, you guys remember what that Cowboys offense looked like last year when Zeke Elliott went down? And they were, historically bad, where they went, 3 games or 4 games without scoring a touchdown or whatever. I mean, they were just abysmal. And that was kind of like what we saw yesterday. Just an offense that looked boring, not fun to watch. I mean, first year and a half of the Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott era was fun football. That was fun offensive football to watch. It was fast-paced. They were running. They were mixing it up. I don't want to say they were creative, but it was fun to watch. And what we saw when Zeke Elliott went down last year, what we saw Yesterday was not fun. Was not fun. And by the way, Brandon Garcia brings up that defense, and that's a great point. The offense was bad. It was not fun, but the defense, it's amazing to think, like, what we would have expected out of this team back in June when minicamp was going on, to think where they are right now. Like, it's like they are a bad offense that it's reliant upon a pretty good defense. I wouldn't say dominant, but a pretty good defense, and especially that front seven. But it's amazing to think, when this team could not cobble together a competent defense for such a long period of time, and they finally get a really good offense, and by the time they cobble together a competent defense, the offense can't do anything. So obviously, hopefully that changes a bit, but we'll see. Ian Goldberg in the house. Lashana Tova, Ian Goldberg. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, all the other brothers out there watching. Clint Proctor in the house. What's going on, Clint? How are you? Sean Moore says they can improve on some of these things, but the basic internal problems are not fixable because they're schematic. Yeah, I tend to agree. I also, I think there's two schools of thought here, right? There's the Dak's the problem school of thought, and then there's the offense is the problem school of thought. And as I've said on this stream, and as I'll continue to say, it's like add them up and then divide by 2, and that's your problem, right? Like, it's a little bit from column A, it's a little bit from column B. But, I don't expect for Dak Prescott to be that bad this year, all year. I don't. I don't expect the play calling to be that bad this year. I don't. I think some of that was attributable to Carolina's defense. All right, back in the Dallas Cowboys America's team page, Lucius Hill says we need a new play calling and O-line needs to be better blocking. Jim Beatty says conservative playbook. And I don't – conservative, sure. But it's just like, I'll continue to hammer this. Like, there is statistical analysis available that gives pretty good insight into different components of scheme, different situations in which, when you go for it on fourth down, in those situations, you're going to score more points over the course of the year. Throwing to your running back, especially in early down situations. Going 5 wide but having 5 receivers. Like, these are things that there's statistical analysis to prove how important that those are for success in the NFL. And yet, there's a coaching staff that continues to sort of do the same things it's always done. And even if, they went 5 wide, empty backfield, but 2 of those tight ends were out there, and they I don't know, for some reason they love that. They think that's creative. I mean, it's different. I'll give them that. I don't know if it's creative, but it's different. I just think, like, there's other things where, like, just think outside the box. There's far too many coaches in the National Football League that are considered by the book with that old school mentality. Well, this is how you do things. This is how we've always done things. The by the book kind of coaches. And then there's other coaches that aren't by the book. Doug Peterson, Sean McVay, and Sean Payton, and they're innovative and they're inventive, and they take risks and they gamble, and those are the coaches that win. I know the Saints got boat raced yesterday, but the point remains. I mean, these are coaches that take risks, that take chances, that win football games, and they're not just by the book, always kick field goals on fourth down, always punt on fourth down. Those kinds of things. And even though I will say, and it's not just a go for it on fourth down kind of thing. It's time score situation, and it's down distant. Those are the situations in which there is statistical data that backs up when you should and when you should not go for it. That you score more points over the course of a game, and therefore score more points over the course of a season when you go for it in those situations. All right, what else we got? By the way, I'm Ari Temkin. If you don't know who I am, nice to meet you. I'm part of the Dallas Cowboys pre- and post-game show on 105 through the Fan. I'm also with FANTOM, the New World Order of Sports Media. And we are broadcasting live right now at the Irishman Pub at Frankfurt and Preston out in Richardson. So if you're in the area, come by, say hello, grab a bite to eat, have a drink, have an IPA with me. I'm going to be out here all week, by the way. So make plans at some point this week to join me this week out here if you can. Frankfurt and Preston. It's going to be a lot of fun all week as we look at the issues with the Cowboys offensively, see if they're fixable. I certainly have more faith in Dak Prescott, the quarterback, than I do in Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinators. I do. All right, let's see here on the Law Nation YouTube page, I should say. Boomer Sooner says predictable and vanilla. Well, Boomer, you know what I'm thinking. You know who's not predictable and vanilla as an offensive play caller? And again, you haven't answered me, Boomer Sooner. As a Cowboys Oklahoma Sooners fan, how would you feel about Lincoln Riley? I know you're going to say that he's not going there. I'm just saying, would you like it? Would you not like it? That's got to be an odd feeling, right? To be both of them. God, Dallas Cowboys fan 1980. By the way, Dallas Cowboys fan 1980, you have a really good page. I like your videos. I actually found you a while ago, and I was trying to reach out to you and get in touch with you, but I was never able to. But thank you for joining this stream, buddy. And Dallas Cowboys fan 1980, by the way, go like his YouTube page. He does great work. He says we're in trouble, guys. And you know what? Even after one game, I always caution, and if you've watched my streams before, I say this all the time, judge in quarters. You know, if it happens in one game, it's a fluke. It's an anomaly. If it happens over the course of 4 games, it's consistent. It's a pattern. And but I also think even though it's one game, I certainly understand and kind of agree with the sentiment that, like, oh yeah, this is not going to be a very successful season for the Cowboys. Boomer Sooner says, I wouldn't like Lincoln Riley coming here because he won't put up with the Jerry bull crap. Perhaps. I mean, I certainly think Jerry's changed a lot. You know, he's delegating. He's no longer the autonomous, general manager that he once was. You know, Steven is a big part of the decision making. Will McClay, their head coach. I mean, so they empower guys to make decisions around them. But I still think there's some bull crap you got to put up with Jerry beyond the decision making. So I understand that. Trey Craig says Dak lost that game. Mike Mardo says, how did Dak lose this game, Trey? Michael Haskell says, love Jalen, but he didn't look as great as training camp. Waiting on Jalen jersey to arrive. Hope it was a smart buy. Perhaps. Let's see here on the Phantom YouTube page, the Sports Fury in the house. What up, Sports Fury? My Cowboys family also commenting. What's your take, and what do you think about Jerry Jones and Scott Linehan sneaking out and not answering questions after the game last night? Thoughts? So for Jerry, I'm fine with it. I mean, like, there aren't many owners in sports that meet with the media after games. So I'm perfectly fine with it. Scott Linehan, though, get your ass in front of the reporters. Like, seriously. You call that crappy of a game after all this talk all offseason about a new offense and installing new offense and more creativity? That was BS for Linehan to completely. He did the whole I forget what the exact quote was, but like, I'm not taking questions today. I'm like, really? You're not going to answer questions about how bad your offense looked? You're going to just feed Dak to the wolves as the quarterback? That was, in my opinion, that's Bush League by Scott Linehan. Brandon Garcia says, why isn't anyone blaming Kellen Moore, quarterback coach? Just look at these quarterbacks. Ian Goldberg says, I heard you might be on My Cowboys Family. Hope to see you on there for some more Dallas Cowboys. Absolutely, I'll be on My Cowboys Family at some point this week. You heard from good sourcing, Ian Goldberg. Sean Moore says, the Cowboys don't use statistical data. They believe you line up and beat the man in front of you every play. Man, is that true? There is no more old school thinking. It's really frustrating that I can't read all of these comments. Let's see if I can pull it up. Hopefully this doesn't slow it down. But normally my computer gets really slowed down when I try and read the comments on my computer. So let's see if it doesn't. By the way, if you haven't already, please hit the share button. That would be fantastic. And also, make plans to be with me at the Irishman Pub out here at Frankfurt and Preston. Because it's going to be a fun week out here all week. I hope I don't get too drunk this week. Cheers. Well, I'm out here. And I didn't have time to eat anything prior to the stream. So I'm going to stick around and eat after. So if you want to come out and have a bite, again, the Irishman Pub out here at Preston and Frankfurt Road. Let's see. Is this slowing it down? Slowing the stream down at all? I'm trying to bring it up on my computer so I can see the full comments. But yeah, Sean, you're absolutely correct. I don't know why I thought that maybe the Cowboys would, in any capacity, employ some sort of statistical analysis that would help them, guide them in play calling and scheming. How stupid of me to assume that that was a possibility. But yeah, they are, it's I'll never forget, I remember Rod Marinelli said something about, people that change their minds at times of adversity or something to that effect. Like, people that change who they are, I don't have any respect for them or something like that. It looks like it is slowing it down. I'm just going to X out of it. All right. Rod Marinelli I have a ton of respect for. He's a Vietnam vet, and he's been a really good defensive coordinator throughout the course of his career. But, has he ever heard of the evolve or die principle of business? It's evolve or die. There are a lot of businesses that if they didn't evolve, they would die. So how can you not have respect for people that change their approach in things? It's completely antithetical to everything in life. You have to grow and evolve as a person. You have to grow and evolve as a coach. You have to grow and evolve as a play caller. You're just gonna stick to who you are. It's asinine. It's ridiculous. It's old school. It makes no sense. Ian Goldberg says Scott Linehan gave the media the Irish goodbye. Shake my effing head. Yeah, Ray Pierce has froze up. Yeah, I was trying to, again, on my phone, I'm not able to see all the full comments, which sucks. So, my apologies. When I try to see more, it doesn't let me see more. Let's see. All right, what else you guys got? Let me check out some of the other pages we're broadcasting on. Shout out to Law Nation. By the way, if you guys didn't check out Law Nation and Derek Kirby from the Dallas Prospect, those two did a fantastic live stream last night during the game at Henry's Tavern out in Plano, just off the North Tollway, the Dallas North Tollway. They did a really good job last night, so make sure to check it out. Next week, they're going to be doing the same thing for Sunday Night Football. By the way, if you're going to the game next week, come say hello to me. I'll be doing the pregame show from the Miller Lite West Plaza, which will be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to next week's broadcast because the away games, we just do in the studio. And, it's cool, but it's not as fun. It's not nearly as much fun. I guess I didn't do this on the Law Nation page. I thought I did. All right, well, that's news to me. All right, how about Big Game James? I know all you guys know Big Game James. Big Game James broadcasting live on the Big Game James page. Maybe not. No, there we are. Boom. Let's see. Comments over here. Lucky Johnson says, Dak's the problem. Terrible play calling. There's no emotional leader, which is a big part of the Dez we need. Lucky, it seems like you said Dak's the problem and then pointed out another problem, which is no spirit or leadership and bad play calling. Again, here's what I think went wrong for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott did not play great. He's a bus driver as a quarterback. He's a bus driver. But that's okay. It's okay to be a bus driver going into year 3. That's okay. Evolving as a quarterback, getting better, improving, takes time. It takes years. But he needs to, this is a big year for him to step forward and to consistently complete passes down the field. And, it's like for the first half of that football game, shoot me in the head watching them continually throw passes east-west. It was just an abomination. And that's we can blame Dak, we can blame the play calling, and it's both of those things. I think it's also the defense. I certainly think Carolina's defense plays into this too, but it's Dak, it's the offense. And after the game, Jason Garrett sort of continued to bang the drum of, when asked about, trying to push the ball down the field, just continue to bang that drum of, well, I mean, part of this is on the decision-making from the quarterback. So, I mean, for a coach who doesn't like to make excuses, he certainly has a lot of excuses after every loss, but he also is willing to call out his quarterback, and did so again last night. He did it at times last year too. When the Cowboys weren't pushing the ball down the field, he would basically put a lot of that on the quarterback. Joe Barrientos says the Great Wall of China is falling, the O-line. Pete Paskowitz says get rid of Linehan. Mark Wingender says if they start 0-3, 0-4, Linehan has to go. The offensive play calling is horrendous. It'd be interesting to see if they started off like 0-3, 0-4, would they fire their offensive coordinator? I mean, I'm trying to remember the exact stretch last year, but it was the first couple of games they played without Zeke, if you recall. And it was like what we saw yesterday. It was that bad offensively. And by the way, I don't think they had a touchdown during that period. So at least they scored a touchdown yesterday, right? Like, after that stretch, which was like historically bad, they probably should have fired Linehan, but they didn't. They doubled down on Linehan. They brought in Kellen Moore to be their quarterback's coach because Kellen Moore is Linehan and Kellen Moore are like glued to the hip. So, you almost wonder if this thing starts off bad for the Cowboys and the offense continues to sputter like we saw yesterday. I at least wonder if they would consider firing Linehan and then making Jason Garrett their offensive play caller. But I think, my intuition says this thing starts off bad. They're just going to make excuses, and Travis Frederick isn't here, and again, Jerry said the year that he fired Wade Phillips that he doesn't like to fire coaches in season, and that basically, what do they go that year? 0-12 or what was it, like 1-10 or something? So it would basically take an unbelievable amount of suckitude for Jerry to fire anybody. All right. Hit the share button, everybody. Please. Please, God, I beg you. Not really, but kind of. I'm Ari Temkin, by the way, from 105 through the Fed. You can catch me at the pre- and post-game show. You can also catch me every day right here. Wherever you are, you can catch me right here, streaming live from 12 to 1, a little show we call Showtime, where we get to talk Cowboys, and I get to interact with everybody. So post your comments, hit the share button. Let's do this thing. And again, the page I check most often is the Phantom Facebook page. So go to facebook.com/watchphantom, FANTOM. The logo you can see at the top of me. That's the quickest way to have your comments read and heard. Josh Quiroz in the house from the Sports Fury. Tim Hasty's also watching. Eric Kashani. Sean Moore says, Kellen Moore's litmus test for firings. He could be gone today and there'd be no difference. Yeah, you're probably right. What am I watching here with Frank Caliendo and Carrot Top? This looks like does Carrot Top look in the mirror? Like, seriously, does he even know what he looks like? Has he looked in the mirror to see that he looks like what he looks like? I guess it's good news that he's alive still. Congratulations, Carrot Top. I never thought you'd still be alive. One of the most legendary prop comics in the history of the world. Carrot Top. Kerry Teagle says 2 for 11 on third down. My goodness. Was it that good? They were 0 for, I think they started off 0 for 7. Kerry, they didn't get, yeah, that's what Sean Moore pointed out, 0 for 7 at one point. They didn't get past the 50 until was it the third or the fourth quarter? So was the first time they got past the 50 their touchdown drive? I don't know what's worse, 0 for 7 on third down or not getting past the 50. Sports Fury gives the laughing emoji. Eric Kashani says Jerry screwed us not going all in on Dak and Zeke's first year. What did you want to see them do? What do you mean? How could they have gone all in? Defense looked good, guys. Defense looks good. Could have been worse, right? I'm trying to think of what was worse, the way the Cowboys lost or the way the Bears lost yesterday. Which one was worse? The Bears, if you missed it on Sunday Night Football, were up 20-0 and dominating. They knocked Aaron Rodgers out of the game. Then he came back and The Bears lost 24-23. And what's amazing is, like, you guys know this as Cowboys fans. I know this as a guy that's a Bears fan. Like, you don't give Aaron Rodgers the ball in a late game situation unless you're up by 2 scores. You just don't. And yet Matt Nagy, who's the new coach of the Bears, decided to kick a field goal on fourth and 1 from the 10 or something. And it's like, oh, God, they're going to kick the field goal and lose. The only saving grace was that Aaron Rodgers left too much time on the clock, but Trubisky was just puking up all over himself, which you expect from a young quarterback. But, I mean, it's the Bears, and they've always had bad quarterback play. So I guess the question is, like, how would you rather lose, 16-8 like the Panthers lost, or up 20-0 on the Packers and then have Aaron Rodgers come back and know that it's over? Like, I knew as soon as Aaron Rodgers came back to the game, it was over. They were down 20-0, and I knew when Aaron Rodgers came back, it was over. That's how good Aaron Rodgers is. And you know who else knew that? The Bears. You know who else knew that? Aaron Rodgers. Erica. This is definitely the way the Bears loss was worse. It was brutal. What's funny is, so I'm doing the post-game show until 9:30 last night. And in studio, I'm watching the Bears game as I'm doing the post-game show. And it was like Khalil Mack's got pick sixes, and they're knocking out Rodgers. And I'm like, yeah. And then the post-game ends, and I'm driving home, and it was like, crash and burn. And it was so predictable. That's how good Aaron Rodgers is. His greatness is predictable. Like, I knew, and so does everybody else. Like, we've seen it. Don't kick a field goal to go up 6. Are you crazy? Erica, how do I say your last name? Baza Bilvazo. Erica Baza Bilvazo. That's fun to say. Patrick, no, they need to play to his strengths. He's not and probably never will be an Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, Rodgers is probably the best quarterback in the NFL. And when I say probably, I mean definitely. And he might be the greatest quarterback ever. He only has 1 Super Bowl, and that's partially on the Packers and their coaching staff. But, I mean, you're just, like, if the litmus test is Dak needs to be, or any quarterback needs to be Aaron Rodgers, then good luck. Because they're, like, it's just not going to happen. There's just very few. I mean, think about it. How many guys are on the level of Aaron Rodgers? Tom Brady? So, I mean, you're talking about quarterbacks that come around once every 10, 20 years. So, Brian Walker says a one-legged Rodgers is better than Dak. A one-legged Rodgers is better than the majority of quarterbacks in the National Football League. Raymond Chaney says we need to get rid of Garrett and the offensive coordinator. Yeah, I don't disagree. But it's just not going to happen. At least not until, the season ends. So, either, like, root for the season to go south and south quickly, or, root for this team to be successful and know that if they're successful, that they're going to get more years of Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan. All right, I'm scrolling back to the FANTOM Facebook page now. Yeah, Sports Fury says Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league, and I mean, perhaps the best quarterback in the history of the game. Sean Moore says the Bears can still be excited for next week. You only get him twice a year. Only. It seems like a million times a year. What about the Cowboys trading for Tyrod? From Brandon Garcia. Man, are we really going to throw Dak out at this point? Like, I get it. I get the negativity around Dak. I do. I mean, I watched the game yesterday too. I get it. But what's funny is, like, for me, if I had a graph of the Cowboys' issues, a bar graph, like, the biggest bar would be offensive coordinator, head coach, play calling. Like that like, it's not all that, but it's a lot of that. It's not all that, but it's a lot of that. And then probably the second highest would be Dak, because I hate to just, how about the interior of their offensive line? Because it's like, look, they still have Tyrod Smith, they still have Zach Martin, and though Connor Williams struggled yesterday, I'm not going to put it all on, their offensive line has to be better. I mean, their quarterback has to be better. And certainly the bar graph would have the offensive line being third highest, but probably pretty small. So that to me, like that to me is it. It's Dak and the play calling, but there's a higher premium on the play calling. And Sports Fury says no, you don't trade for Tyrod. Was that? I kind of said that too, right? I hope I said that. No, you don't trade for Tyrod Taylor. What else? Sean Moore says, I'd rather bottom out completely than have a mediocre season. We need to have change. Yeah. But again, I think even a mediocre season leads to the loss, leads to J.C. Garrett being gone. Obviously, it would suck to have another 8-8 year because you're still drafting in the middle of the first round again. But if they go 8-8 and miss the playoffs, J.C. Garrett's going to be gone. I believe that. Williams will be better after a year of conditioning and gaining strength. I agree. Look, he's a second-round pick. And not everybody's going to come in and be Zach Martin and Travis Frederick. That's just the reality of it, right? So, like, I remember early on, I was in Oxnard the first week of training camp. And I remember Travis Frederick doing an interview and saying that, basically. Like, it's and he didn't mention himself. He was talking more about Zach and Zach Martin. Basically, like, look, there are very few guys that come in here that are automatically all pros. Like, so we sort of have to change your expectations because Zach Martin's as home run of a pick as you can have. Like, Tyron Smith was a home run pick, right? Like, Zach Martin, home run pick. Travis Frederick, home run pick. So it's just you're not going to always have those guys, especially along the offensive line. And we knew coming out, like the reason that Connor Williams slipped into the second round, though a lot of people had him with a first-round grade, was he struggles with the point of attack. And that's a tough matchup for him, week one. The only tougher matchup for him week one would be Aaron Donald. K'Wan Short is a tough matchup. Mark Rawson says, like you guys said on the post-game show, just look at Dak's scouting report. Yeah, that's right. We read Dak's college scouting report on the post-game show last night. And it's crazy. Jesse Holly read it. It's crazy because you read it and you're like, yeah, that's him. Like, that's him. That's the reason he was a fourth-round pick. So, yeah, we read that on the – Jesse Holly read that on the post-game show last night. It was like, oh, God, yeah, that's him. That is assuredly him. It's just crazy to think. Like, a lot of times scouts miss when it comes to – and that was pre-draft scouting report on deck. And Jesse's probably less – Jesse's not as high on Dak as I am. He's definitely, not as high on Dak as I am. But – I mean, for the folks that had reservations about Dak Prescott being the guy, last night's not going to change that in any capacity. Obviously. But since I went into it thinking I was going to be very impressed with their offensive coordinator, their scheming, their play calling, that's the takeaway that I had from the game. Big takeaways before I let you guys go. Defense looked good. The things we saw in training camp of the preseason are holding true, right? Their offense cannot consistently move the ball and push the ball down the field. Their defense looks good. And again, it's like when you sit there in training camp in the preseason and you're like, well, wait until this guy comes back, or wait until they do this, and then there's an element of you have to practice like you're going to play, and you're going to play like you're going to practice, and the Cowboys certainly in week one looked like that. They looked like the same team we saw in the preseason. Even though everybody kept telling us, wait and see, it's going to be more innovative, it's going to be more creative, even though people kept saying that, it wasn't. All right, I'm Ari Temkin. Thank you all for being a part of today's show. Appreciate you all. Sean Moore and John Dyer and Eric Koshaney and Wade Zetterberg and Ray Pierce and Kerry Teagle and Ian Goldberg and all you folks that watch the show and stream it every single day, that chime in the comments, Thank you all for being a part of the show every single day. I appreciate it very much. Neil Fauver, Nick Gigas, you guys are awesome. Make sure to tell your friends. And, of course, again, if you live in the area, I'm going to be out at the Irishman Pub all this week, so come hang out. Come say hello. It's, again, great to talk to you in the virtual world, but it would be even better if you came and said hello to me in person so we can meet and hang out. So the Irishman Pub all this week at Preston and Frankfurt. Again, thanks to all of our partners here at Phantom. Thanks to you guys who make this thing possible. So appreciate it. The noon o'clock with TJ Carpenter's coming up next right here on Phantom.